There was a time you noticed everything. You'd walk into the kitchen in the morning and smile at how the sunlight touched the floor. You'd feel something warm inside just by hearing birds in the distance. Even the way the breeze moved the curtains made you breathe slower. But now everything feels dull, muted, like the world's been turned down to low volume. You walk through the day like a shadow of yourself. You're there technically, but it's like your heart is sitting somewhere else and far, quiet, hidden. People still see you, still talk to you. You laugh at the right moments, say the right things, keep the routine going. But inside, there's a weight and silence. Not just the kind you hear, but the kind you feel. The kind of silence that settles deep in your chest, like a question that never gets answered, like a prayer that gets stuck halfway through. You still believe in God. That's not the problem. The problem is, it doesn't feel like He believes in you anymore. You talk to Him sometimes, or at least you try, but your words feel like echoes in a cave. No response, no feeling, just air. You're not asking for much, not a miracle, not a lightning bolt, just something, a whisper, a signal, a tiny flicker that says, I'm still here. But the longer the silence stretches, the more you start to wonder if you're talking to a closed door. Maybe you're not the kind of person He answers anymore. Maybe you missed your moment. Maybe you've gone too far. Maybe you're just tired of hoping for something that never comes. But here's something no one told you. God doesn't always speak through thunder. Sometimes He speaks through things so small, so quiet, you'd miss them if you weren't paying attention. A stranger smiling at you in the middle of a bad day. A line in a song you forgot you loved. A breeze that calms your heart for no reason at all. The way your own tears feel like release instead of failure. These aren't coincidences. They're not meaningless. They're how He whispers when the pain has made you too fragile to hear Him any other way. So if this feels like it was made for you, maybe it was. If this speaks to your heart, stay. You're not alone. We'll walk slowly, together. I know you're tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, not the kind of tired you admit out loud. I'm talking about the tired that sits behind your eyes. The kind that whispers, just make it through today. The kind that smiles in public and breaks in silence. You've been holding yourself up for too long, trying to be the strong one, trying to be okay so nobody worries, trying to push through the numbness and the noise, hoping something will shift. But the shift never came. So now you just float, go through the motions, wake up, survive, sleep, repeat. And in between it all, you pray. Not always with words. Sometimes it's just a sigh. Sometimes it's just staring at the ceiling, hoping He hears the silence in your chest. But still, nothing. The silence starts to feel personal, like maybe God's avoiding you, like maybe He's tired of your broken prayers, like maybe you've been so inconsistent, so messy, so exhausted, that even He gave up trying to reach you. And so the guilt begins. You blame yourself. For the distance, for the silence, for the way your heart doesn't light up in worship like it used to. You open your Bible and feel nothing. You try to sing and choke on the words. You whisper God and wonder if you even mean it. But let me tell you something He told me. You don't need to feel Him to be near Him. You don't need perfect prayers to be heard. You don't need to fix your heart before you let Him in. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten. You're just tired. And sometimes tired faith is the most honest kind, because it's not performative, it's not loud, it's not wrapped in perfect theology, it's just real. It's a shaky voice saying, I don't know where you are, but I still want to believe you're near. And if that's where you are right now, you're not weak. You're human. And that humanity, it matters to Him, so take the pressure off, take the mask off. You don't have to impress a God who already knows everything about you and still chooses to stay. You may not feel Him yet, but I promise, you're already being held. There's this quiet war inside you, and no one sees it. They see your smile, your work ethic, your ability to show up and keep going, but they don't see the way your thoughts spiral at night, the way your chest tightens for no reason, the way you wonder silently if maybe this version of you is just broken. And spiritually, it's even harder. You believe in God. You do. But that belief feels bruised, not gone, just aching, like a wound that hasn't fully healed. You ask yourself questions you're afraid to say out loud. Why isn't he answering? Why does it feel like I'm doing this alone? What did I do wrong? And the silence begins to shape you, not just what you hear, but what you believe. You start to think maybe you're the problem, that maybe your prayers don't carry enough weight, that maybe you've sinned too much, that maybe you've doubted too often, that maybe you missed your one chance to get it right. And so, without realizing it, you start to shrink, not physically, but spiritually. You stop asking boldly, stop expecting deeply, stop hoping fully. You tell yourself, I'll just keep quiet, I'll just survive, I'll just wait. But it's not waiting, it's withering. And that's the part no one talks about. The part where faith doesn't feel brave or beautiful, it just feels exhausting. You hear sermons that say, God is speaking, but all you hear is your own heartbeat pounding through the silence. You see others have breakthroughs while you're still sitting in the dark, whispering, can you even hear me? And you wonder if maybe he's saving his voice for someone more obedient, more grateful, more deserving. But friend, that's the lie that silence means absence, the lie that distance means rejection, the lie that your weakness disqualifies you from being loved. Let me say something plainly. God is not punishing you with silence. Sometimes he's sitting in it with you, not talking, just holding space, letting you feel, letting you process, letting you breathe without pressure to perform. And maybe that's the kind of presence you need most right now. Not a dramatic rescue, not a booming voice, just a God who stays in the quiet with you. Even now, even here, even in this. It didn't come like a miracle. There was no angel in your room, no voice from heaven, no scripture glowing off the page, but something happened, something small, so small in fact you almost missed it. Maybe it was a song that came on while you were driving, and suddenly you felt like you couldn't breathe, because the lyrics, they said everything you were too tired to pray. Or maybe it was that moment in the grocery store when a stranger smiled at you for no reason, and somehow that smile broke something open inside you, like a crack of light in a long, dark hallway. Maybe it was the way your dog sat next to you that night when you were crying, like he knew, like something new, or that one verse. You weren't even trying to read it. You just opened the Bible out of habit, and there it was. A sentence you'd read 100 times before, but this time it felt like it was waiting for you. And for a moment, you stopped bracing. You let it hit you, not with answers, but with presence. It didn't fix everything, but it reminded you maybe you're not forgotten, and that's what I want you to hold on to. Not a resolution, not a feeling, but that gentle, quiet moment when something broke through. It might have only lasted a few seconds, but it mattered because it means you're still reachable, even after all the silence, even after all the confusion, even after all the ways you thought you were too far gone. That flicker of warmth, that whisper you didn't expect, that second where peace found its way in through the cracks, that was him. And you didn't imagine it. You didn't make it up because you were desperate. You noticed it because somewhere in your soul, you're still listening, even if just barely. That's how God comes sometimes. Not with thunder, but with quiet. Not to overwhelm, but to restore. He knows you're fragile, he knows you're tired, so he doesn't shout, he whispers. And in those whispers, you remember he never left. He just needed you still enough to notice. It's slow. That's the first thing you need to know. Healing doesn't rush. Restoration doesn't crash in with fireworks. It creeps in, quiet and unannounced, one breath at a time, one soft thought at a time, one honest moment at a time. There's no switch to flip, No magic moment where everything suddenly makes sense again. But something does begin to shift. Not outside, inside. You start to notice tiny things again. The way the light filters through the window, the way your coffee smells in the morning, the way the air feels on your skin during a quiet walk. It's subtle, but real. And here's the miracle most people miss. You're starting to come back, not to who you used to be, but to who you're becoming, through the breaking, through the silence, through the questions. God isn't rebuilding the version of you that was performing. He's building the version of you that is honest, present, soft, real. He's not interested in shiny masks or spiritual resumes. He's interested in the you that sits in the dark and still whispers, "God, I'm trying." Because that's all he needs. Not perfection, not performance, just willingness. And you've shown up, even if broken, even if numb, even if all you had left was a sigh and a half-finished prayer. That counts, more than you know, because it means you didn't close your heart completely. You left a crack open, and that's all he needed. So maybe this is where rebuilding starts, not when you feel strong again, but when you allow yourself to be weak and still be loved. God isn't waiting for you to get it together. He's sitting beside you while it falls apart. And he's not disgusted by your mess. He's familiar with it. Because that's where he does his best work, in the ruins. So let it be slow, let it be quiet, let it be real. You don't have to rush your way out of the pain. You just have to keep walking, one honest breath at a time. And when you do, you'll realize he never stopped walking with you. Here's something I wish someone had told me earlier. God doesn't just speak in clarity. He speaks in confusion too. He speaks in fog, in stillness, in questions. And the voice you've been waiting to hear, maybe it's not a sound. Maybe it's a sense, a pull, a quiet knowing. We spend so much time trying to feel something that we forget how much faith it takes just to stay, just to keep showing up, just to whisper, "God, I don't hear you, but I'm here anyway." And that right there, that's the voice he listens to most closely. Because it's not loud, it's not for show, it's not motivated by guilt. It's raw, it's real. It's what love sounds like when it's holding on by a thread. You see, the truth is, you haven't been failing, you've been surviving. And that survival, it's sacred. God hasn't been silent out of punishment. He's been gentle out of compassion. Because sometimes when we're fragile, we don't need a shout, we need a whisper. We don't need direction, we need presence. He's been right beside you, not fixing everything, but feeling everything with you. Every time you cried yourself to sleep, he was there. Every time you questioned if you were worth anything at all, he was steady. Every time you said, "I can't do this anymore," he didn't flinch, he didn't turn away, he didn't roll his eyes, he didn't keep a record, he just stayed. That's who he is, not the God of performance, but the God of presence, not the one waiting at the finish line, but the one walking every mile with you, even the ones you crawled through. So here's the truth. You are not abandoned. You are not ignored. You are not too broken to be spoken to. You are seen. You are loved. You are still being pursued, even when you feel like you're running on empty. And maybe the silence wasn't rejection. Maybe it was preparation. Maybe it was space to breathe, to feel, to remember that his love isn't dependent on your strength, but on his. And he hasn't changed. Even now, he's still whispering. Maybe today wasn't about breakthrough. Maybe it wasn't about big answers or miraculous shifts. Maybe it was about remembrance. Remembering that you're still breathing, that your heart is still beating, that even with all the silence, you didn't give up completely. You showed up, you pressed play, you let the words in, and that matters. Because sometimes the smallest act of faith is just not walking away. Not from God, not from yourself, not from the possibility that healing is still possible. You're here, and you stayed, and that tells me something beautiful about your heart. It's not hard, it's not closed, it's just tired, tender, wounded, maybe, but still open. And that's all God needs. He's not expecting you to leap. He just wants to take the next step with you, quietly, gently, without pressure. So if all you can do today is sit in this moment and whisper, "I'm still trying," that's enough, more than enough. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to force a feeling. You just need to be honest. And that honesty, it creates space for him to move, not with noise, but with presence. So keep breathing, keep noticing, keep holding on to the small reminders, the breeze, the light, the silence that doesn't feel so heavy anymore. He's in all of it, not waiting for you to earn your way back, just gently guiding you home, one whisper at a time. And if today gave you just one moment of peace, hold it close. Let it remind you, you are not forgotten, you are not alone, you are not beyond the sound of his voice, even if it's soft, even if it's rare, even if it's buried under layers of exhaustion and doubt. God is still speaking. If this helped you breathe again, come back tomorrow. We walk together.